What's up, guys? I'm David DiMuzio. This is Hair Loss Hope, and today we have my friend Jake Kent here on the channel. Now, Jake runs a hair system channel here on YouTube where he helps guys, kind of with the stuff that he's gone through, which is losing his hair, deciding what he wants to do with that. He decided to go the hair system route. I think that's really cool. I want to learn a little bit about why he made that decision, and then also ask him some questions about this other YouTuber who I recently came across. And just he's watched some of the videos. That's the Bald Cafe. And I'm going to make a couple of videos just kind of responding to some of the Bald Cafe's videos. And so I want to get also Jake's response to some of the mentality that I feel like this channel puts out. So, by the way, I think we're all here trying to help. Well, I think the Bald Cafe Harry is doing the exact same thing, but I think it's worth kind of bringing up some of those methods. So first off, before we get into that, Jake, how old were you when you got your first hair system, and why did you decide to go the hair system route out of all the different options?
I was 27 when I first got a hair system. I've been wearing a hair system now for just over a year. I got one at the beginning of 2020. And why did I go with a hair system? Well, I never intended to, actually. I actually believed for the longest time, and I worked through most of my 20s believing that I was going to get a hair transplant. In fact, it was the impetus to get myself out of $60,000 worth of debt that I had put myself into. And I made a deal with myself that as soon as I got myself out of that debt, that I was going to go get a hair transplant. So guess what? I did it in 15 months. I went, at the time I was making, full transparency, I was making $20,000 a year, found a way in 15 months to pay off that debt and, live my life as well. But after I tried to go get a hair transplant, I was actually flying to Turkey to go get it done, and I got stopped at JFK in New York City, and they wouldn't let me board the plane. And I had to stay the night in the airport and had to fly all the way back to Florida, which is where I was living, and I was really pissed off, but I decided that I was gonna go again. And so a couple months later, bought my tickets at my own expense again, and it was the night before my plane ride, and I was actually playing a video game, relaxing at night, and I heard this voice, and it said to me, "You're not supposed to go to Turkey tomorrow." And it was very weird. Like, I'm not someone that hears spirits or ghosts or God or anything like that, but I just heard this voice that was like internal, but not from me, if that makes sense to anybody listening. And I chose, oddly enough, as logical as I am as a person, to listen to this voice. I decided not to go. And it was a weird moment because I felt like I had listened to something higher than myself, but at the same time I was very distraught because I wanted something so bad, and I had made the choice to not go do it and get it. But I still wanted to resolve my hair loss issue, and I began searching around. What were my options? What could I do? Didn't want to really go down the drugs route. Didn't want to deal with the side effects, and I started looking into hair systems. That's when I found them. Literally within like 2 weeks, I pulled the trigger. I scoured YouTube to find like the best person at the best price, and I found this person that had like one video from like 7 years ago, and somehow tracked down their website, which was all in Spanish, and drove to Miami, Florida, and got it done within like a week. And here I am a year later. That same voice that told me not to go, I heard that same voice when I was getting my hair system that said that I needed to be a voice and a place that people could feel comfortable discussing hair loss, but also help destigmatize hair loss as a whole.
Wow. So besides the fact that you're crazy and hear voices, how did your hair system? I'm just messing with you. I want to know. I mean, that's pretty wild. I've had a few moments in my life as well where I've had some pretty spiritual kind of moments, that I couldn't explain as to what happened or what I was feeling or who was talking to me or whatever. So that's really, really interesting. it's been a while since I saw a picture of you, but like how far back was your hair? Like were you like pretty bald
I
looking?
was probably in the Norwood 4 or 5 area. So it was probably, I had diffuse thinning up through this area right here, and it was extremely thin, like very, very thin. I don't even know why I decided to keep it short, like crew cut, as if I was hiding anything. And there was a little bit of lossage back here, but for me, it was just, coming back. And yeah, so it was pretty severe. Like, there, even if Rogaine and finasteride were the route that I wanted to choose, it wouldn't have really made that much of a difference.
What positive differences has it made, and what negative differences? I'd love to know both. Like, what's the worst thing about it, and also what's like. Let's just go with that. Let's go with like the couple best things. I don't know, people, the way you feel, the way people view you, anything you've noticed in just your interactions with other humans, and then I'd love to know as well, just like the worst thing about it.
So the worst thing about having a hair system, and this sounds probably cliche, it may sound like I'm being really cheesy, but this is honestly something that I've had to deal with internally that has been a struggle for me. And that is that I didn't do it sooner. Because now that I've seen how really it's actually pretty easy, and I figured kind of the ways to kind of hack the system, if you will, the hair system. But just I figured out kind of how to hack and make it easy for myself. And, I spent most of my 20s living in a place of being small, acting small, and watching how, like in hindsight, how I regressed into this very small and isolated space from who I was, which was a very confident person. And I kept that confidence, but it was like I kept it into myself, if that makes any sense. And I didn't carry that like bravado and swagger that's just like part of who Jake Kent is. And it's looking back on, 6 to 7 years in particular that I started, taking these like steps down in my confidence about how I looked and how I was perceived. That really stings to see that my inaction caused massive amounts of pain, and that has blossomed into a beautiful thing in my life, which is I will not take any decision anymore inside of my life. Like, if I feel something, I am going to go do it. And even if I'm wrong, even if I mess up, I'm going to learn the lesson, but I'm going to go do it. I'm going to take action, because I'm not going to have any regrets anymore. I'm not going to live life like that anymore.
Cool. And so, yeah, I guess what's the best thing? What's, you wish that you would have done it a lot sooner. Why do you wish that you would have done it a lot sooner?
I wish I could say it's the chicks, man, but no. My girlfriend, who I love very much, she snagged me as a catch before I got a hair system, so I know she loves me for me and not my beautiful luscious locks or my money. No, the best thing is, I think that life has a way of, if we let it, stripping parts of who we are away from us. Because sometimes life can be hard, or sometimes we just let it. Rough circumstances, or things change, or we get hurt. It could be a multitude of things. When you feel inside that you're something that at the moment you're not currently doing or being, but you take action on it. When I took action on it, things started like meshing together. Like, if you imagine like a clutch kind of coming into a transmission, and then everything just started clicking more. Like, that's kind of what happened. And it was like I knew it was there, but I couldn't activate it without doing the thing, without having the clutch. As many Tony Robbins books as I read, and believe me, I read them all, as many personal development, self-help books, like I said, I've read so many of them. It was like this thing that like I didn't do, even though I knew that I needed. And once I did what I needed to do, it just like it all started sinking in. And I'm not trying to brag to the audience, but like, my finances went through the roof. My relationships got better. my emotional strength, my emotional intelligence went through the roof. Like all of these things started almost being symbiotic. Like the hair system was symbiotic in my growth in all these areas. It was almost like I had like this pool, and like the hair loss was like this mud that was stuck, so that the water couldn't flow down to like the next pool of water. Like it was all just jammed up, and all of this work I had done, all of this stuff I had done, it was just stuck and dammed up. And once I did this, it was like starting to remove that muck, and all the water, all of the dam, all this potential energy just started flowing through and cascading into other avenues of my life.
So you glued some fake hair to your head, and suddenly,
Boom, life changed.
suddenly all of the muck is gone.
That's it, man. Yeah. Okay. End of video. Nice. We'll see you all later. Yeah.
That's
No,
amazing.
I mean,
No, you know, what's crazy is I'm just making fun of it in the way I explain it, but I totally understand it. I actually, like, I think it's totally legit.